Life Pro. I am serving you here from my medical facility here in the Indianapolis, Indiana area. And today I'm really excited to share with you a special topic called vagus nerve, the gatekeeper of stress. And why is this important? Because I think most all of us are stressed in some capacity. And the way that I got involved with Life Pro was through my adversity with stress and trying to figure out what I could use in order to bring my life back around to where I was happy and functional and doing the things that I wanted to be doing. So I've been wanting to host this for a long time, and we just had to get through all those amazing product launches that we had, and we've got all these different special events going on from month to month. And so it seemed like the perfect time to be able to share with you exactly what the vagus nerve is and what it does and how it affects your life and how Life Pro can help in facilitating a better recovery by strengthening or improving what's called vagal nerve tone. So we're going to talk about that in this episode. Getting started here, we've got I've got a couple of different infographics here for you. And so what I want to talk to you about when it comes to some different symptoms that you might be having. Maybe you've got brain fog. Maybe you've got some issues going on in your gums or in your teeth. You're suffering of gut or indigestion challenges, some acid reflux. We are dealing with high blood pressure, chronic disease, autoimmune disease, whether it's fibromyalgia, MS. There's so many different chronic problems that can develop over time that are autoimmune related. We have an irregularity in heart rhythm. We've got inflammation in our whole body, whether it's yeast-based or whether it's Crohn's disease. There are just so many different things that refer back to how the vagus nerve regulates how our body actually works. And so we're going to talk about the different systems that the vagus nerve influences and why it's important. So let me make sure that we all understand what the vagus nerve is. We are streaming live right now between Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. So if you could all make sure and let me know that you can hear what I'm saying or that you're here, or if you have questions, make sure let me know if you have questions. I'm here to answer some of those questions, but this is a really hot topic that you're not going to hear as much about right now. And a lot of physicians don't really discuss it as an option or not checking into it, but it's one of your cranial nerves at the base of your brain. And this is what it looks like. So it's one of the longest nerves in the body from the cranial nerve standpoint, and it branches off of two different sides of the cranium, right and left branches. And so it ultimately affects all the way down into your reproductive region and your urinary area. The reason why I happened to find out about this nerve is I had a total hysterectomy several years ago. That's actually how I became involved with Life Pro. And what happened basically is when they clipped the vagus nerve and brought the uterus through the belly button, because that's supposed to improve healing times, let's just say that my vagus nerve was not on board for that plan. And so it caused a downward spiral of a lot of different challenges that I had to face. And I went and saw an acupuncture doctor, and the acupuncture doctor is the one who said, it's your vagus nerve. And I'm like, oh, well, I've heard of the vagus nerve in my sports medicine practice, but I really don't understand why that matters now that I've had, the surgery. And so had no idea. It is the gatekeeper of stress, my friends. What does that mean? It is the accelerator when we're trying to jump into the energy barrel, and it is the braking system when we are no longer in a state of fight or flight and we're trying to chillax and recover. And what is Life Pro known for? Recovery, right? And so why is that important? Because if you're having vagal nerve challenges, meaning that your vagus nerve is overregulating, and you're going, and you're running out of gas, well, that's when the body starts to become more inflamed and we start to develop some challenges. So let's talk about some of that. I have all these wonderful little infographics so that you can relate to what I'm talking about, relating to life, relating to challenges. And so we call the autonomic nervous system. You're going to hear me talking about this more and more as I'm featuring some of our different products. The autonomic nervous system is made up of two different systems or two different branches. We have the sympathetic nervous system, which is our go, 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 and our parasympathetic nervous system, which is our recovery, rest, and digestion reparative system. Those are all part of how our whole body regulates in coordination with our central nervous system, which is our brain, our heart, and how our body regulates between those two. So airways, blood, and brain. So all of that is our central nervous system. So that's always A, B, and C, primary survey. If we're having trouble with our airway, our breathing, and circulation, that is central nervous system. If we're having trouble with nerves or how our body recovers from an inflammatory system setup, that is our parasympathetic nervous system, but it all works hand in hand. So I'm going to show you this up close in person. And what I'll do when we're done with this little episode, I'll actually attach pictures of these infographics so that you can see exactly kind of what some of these mean. But I like to make sure that you can understand a visual versus me just telling you what you hope that I know. I want to make sure and surround my information with facts. And so here at the very top, we're talking about if we're at the top of our autonomic nervous system ladder, that means life is great. Like we have control of our surroundings. We are very well managed in our life. Life is easy peasy. We're in a good heightened state of control and we're feeling at our great levels. And so the attitude that I'm going to give you an example of here with our ventral vagal activation is attitude. I am feeling at ease and I can manage whatever comes my way. I feel empowered and connected, and I see the big picture and connect to the world with people in it. Okay. So we're safe, we're social, and we're fully engaged in what we're doing within our life. Okay. Now, that's at the very top of our ladder. Okay. The very bottom of our ladder, let's go at this straight down to the bottom of the barrel. I'm numb, I'm collapsed, and I'm shut down. Now, give me a thumbs up or give me some love if you feel like you are at the very top of the ladder right now. Like life is awesome, like you're in a moment of harmony, you're excited, life is going great, you're just wanting to stay ahead. Give me a thumbs up if that's you. If you're at the bottom of the barrel, I would like to know where you're feeling like you're at the bottom of the barrel. So whether it's a straight face, whether it's a sad face, whether it's thumbs down, it gives me an idea of kind of where you're at and things. So yes, I'm asking you to post some different things, whether it's thumbs down, straight face, needing some angel wings. So if we need angel wings or prayers, give me some, whatever it is that you think you need. But the dorsal vagal activation is I am buried under a huge load and I cannot get out. I'm alone in my despair. The world is empty. The world is dead and dark. That is when we are fighting. We're trying to save our lives. Survival of the fittest, right? That's when our vagus nerve is struggling to keep up. And that's when inflammation happens. And that's when chronic disease sets in. And that's when Life Pro comes to help. Okay. Now, if you're somewhere in the middle of this ladder, this is we're mobilized, we're agitated, and we're frantic. Okay. I'm kind of right there right now. And I'm going to explain to you why here in just a second. That means that our sympathetic is activation. There's an attitude of I am getting overwhelmed and having a hard time keeping up. I feel anxious and irritated. The world seems dangerous, chaotic, and unfriendly. Now, I think you're all friendly. I think you're all awesome. But there's a lot going on right now in the world, but also going on in my life, not on a personal level, but on a business level. Just there's times in which we've gone through here in the last couple of years that you almost feel like you're drinking out of a fire hose instead of sipping through a straw or drinking out of a garden hose with the spigot barely turned on. If you are drowning in the fire hose, like you can't even sip a little drop of water out of the fire hose, then that means that you're at the bottom of the barrel. Okay. If you are able to drink out of the garden hose and you have control over the spigot and that water tastes really good, you're at the very top. And if you're drinking out of the fire hose, but you're still maintaining level, then that's kind of moderate level. Okay. So give me some fire hose or give me some fire. Like that's where I'm at right now. Okay. And here's why. When life gets really challenging, not in a way that we don't have control, but I like to tell people sometimes when we're really successful, you have to be really careful how you handle success because there's a lot of responsibilities that go with more success. And it's a great thing, don't get me wrong, but it adds on extra stress. And I just committed last week to co-writing another book. This will be book number 3. And I've been traveling a lot. Love traveling. Yes, I love traveling. I was on vacation with my family for a week, and then I came home and started working. And then I was on a business trip in Montana in Glacier National Park. And now I'm back home, and today is my first day back to work. I'm feeling like really overwhelmed because I haven't been in a routine, in a rhythm for a couple of weeks. And it's really hard when you're not in the flow of things. And when that happens, our body starts giving us signs, hey, I need you to get it together, right? And so let's talk about how the vagus nerve affects different organs of our body, okay? Different organs of our body. And again, I like to give visuals so that you understand kind of what's going on. So this is how the vagus nerve can regulate all these different areas of our human body. And again, the way that I found out, I'm about to sneeze, go figure, that's the vagus nerve kicking in. Excuse me, goodness, shake it, wake it off, right? So how the vagus nerves affect the different parts of our organ systems. This is how an accumulation of some of these different symptoms, this is how I knew that my vagus nerve was really struggling. And after that, acupuncture doctor shared that information with me and told me some natural remedies that I could do in order to get my body to recharge and to heal itself and to calm the inflammation down and to refuel the engine. I'm going to share some of that with you today, but I'm also going to show you how we can hack into this nervous system using Life Pro products so that you don't have to worry about the gift of time, because not all of us have tomorrow, right? Not all of us have next week. That's not something that's guaranteed to us. We just have right now. And unfortunately, we don't want to speed time up, okay? There's a saying that a really good quarterback has the ability to speed the game up, but an extraordinary quarterback has the ability to slow the game down by strategy. And so that's what I'm going to talk to you about, is teaching you how to slow your game down by adjusting the thermostat within, as opposed to constantly reacting to things going on around you and having control over that. So part of this is going to be a little bit of mental, a lot of it's going to be a lot of physical, and a lot of it is going to be interacting with what you might need. And I want you to be able to share that with me, knowing that I'm here to help. So how the vagus nerve affects different systems. Now, I want to show you on you guys always like when I bring my human model up here. And I'm going to show you, this is a female model. It doesn't matter. The nervous system is essentially the same. But when we're looking at this model, kind of hard to see with all of this. But when we're looking at this model, there we go. You're going to see a neon pink, what looks like a neon pink wire. That is the vagus nerve, okay? And it's hard to see because of the glare. The vagus nerve is that bright pink on the left side. And then we also have one on our right side. And so that is the vagus nerve on the right side. And so to bring this into perspective, it travels all the way down into our torso. So the nervous system is quite complex, That's just a very quickie version of the model, but I don't want to overwhelm you. But when we're looking at this, again, this is showing on a female model, no discrimination to one versus the other. This is just what I happen to have on file. And so if you can see that the vagus nerve has multiple branches that flow all the way down into the colon, the gut, and it starts all the way up here at the base of your neck. So how does it control everything? When it comes to depression, if you want to give me a sad face, if you are dealing with depression, and this is one of those moments where it is okay to share what's going on, because we are not judging anybody here by any means. I don't deal with depression, but and I don't really have a lot of anxiety, but I can be foggy brained at times. I actually just talked to somebody today about ADHD because I lack energy at times, and I have fibromyalgia, which offers chronic fatigue syndrome. And so the one thing that I want to make sure that you all understand is that you're not suffering by yourself, but I've done some podcasts and I've done some learning with some other individuals in which we find out most people are silently suffering. They're suffering alone, really thinking that they have this problem with them and that they're the only one who has this problem, when really there is a huge number of people who are suffering from understanding how to control the gatekeeper of stress. And depression is one of those things. Now, I'm not a psychologist or a psychiatrist. I'm not here to tell you which medicine that you should be taking or what procedure you should be having done or what you should be doing to manage your time by any means. I just want to provide you the information that gives you the opportunity to make whatever decision you need to make. But with the brain, yes, I'm right there with you, Shell. When it comes to seasonal, um, depression disorder, or not having enough sunlight, or you're in the rain all the time and you're not around that. Some people really like the warm, some people really like the cold. I would agree with you on that. So the brain helps to modulate anxiety and depression, but it also opposes the sympathetic response to stress. So that's what keeps us in control when we have a moment of panic where we think our life is being compromised. The brain is kind of the control center that keeps the rest of our body flowing in order to stay alive. Okay. When it comes to our mouth, the vagal tone allows for appropriate gag reflex and swallowing and taste. Now, here's how I figured out that I had a challenge. I've been suffering of mouth sores for about 6 months. And turns out it's a side effect from a medication that I'm taking, that I've been taking for several years. But my body finally broke down enough that that one side effect happened to pop up, and it created enough blisters and ulcers on my mouth and on my tongue that it made it very hard to swallow, made it very hard to talk, made it very hard to eat certain things. But because there was enough inflammation in my system, it became very, very hard for my body to heal itself. But guess what happened? Life Pro makes a red light therapy mouth device, and it comes with a wand. I don't have it here because it's at my house because that's how I use it. But we actually make a cold sore red light therapy device. And so when you use that red light therapy handheld device, you can actually stick it in your mouth and access different parts of your gum lines. Red light therapy flip flops the reaction to stress and actually helps to regenerate stem cells and collagen fibers so that our body can fix itself and re-regulate. So any kind of red light therapy device that we offer, all of it will help. Now, if you have, I have the BioHeal right here. If you have the BioHeal, okay, for red light therapy, and you're wanting to hit not only your mouth on the inside, but you're wanting to hit your face in order to help with tension in the TMJ or in the neck or in the jaw, you can use that. You just need to make sure that you're wearing your safety gear. So make sure that you've got your safety glasses on, and you can put the red light therapy device in your direction of receiving those wavelengths, and that will actually help with healing not only the inside. Red light therapy is going to be more superficial versus going super deep, but it still works on healing those superficial features as well as inside of the mouth, if you will open your mouth to allow those wavelengths to settle in. Now, if you're wanting to heal from the inside out and you're wanting to go deep, that's the infrared sauna, which we'll journey to here in just a moment, because I have our new infrared sauna all hooked up out in my gym at my facility here where we see everybody for pain. And I also have one in my home, and it really does make a difference in recharging the body and eliminating inflammation and healing from the inside out. The gut. So what the vagus nerve does for the gut is it increases gastric juice and secretion, gut motility, and balances stomach acid. So if you have acid reflux, if you are dealing with Crohn's disease, if you are dealing with an overgrowth of yeast, you have oral thrush. I've had oral thrush. It happens to be a side effect of one of my medications. That's how I figured it out. The gut is one of those major regulators along with the vagus nerve. When it comes to the lungs, diaphragmatic breathing sends a signal to the vagus nerve to increased bronchial dilation. So diaphragmatic breathing is one of the fastest ways to calm the nervous system down and to get the body to regenerate stem cells and collagen for the reduction of stress and inflammation. The blanket wrap, the different infrared blankets that we offer will work for the surrounding part of our body. And if you're not going to want to cover up your whole head because there's just so much. I mean, I would not recommend tucking your head inside the bag because it gets too hot. But if that's the only option you have, yes, the blanket wrap will work exactly as the infrared sauna works. It's just it's a portable unit. So happy to see you here, everybody. Okay, the blood vessels. We're decreasing vascular tone and resulting in lower blood pressure. So when our body is more inflamed and is more hyperstimulated, then we happen to recognize high blood pressure. Now, a little insight for you. Learn this the hard way. Blood pressure also goes up when we are experiencing physical pain. We also experience more physical pain when we are suffering from mental pain. So that's why I love mentally coaching a lot of the people that I work with, because if we can teach your mind how to process information as you receive it, we think 40 to 70,000 thoughts a day, and 50 to 60,000 of those, let me rephrase this. I actually have the statistic. I had to look this up. When it comes to your thoughts, let me pull this up because I remember looking at this. We think like several tens of thousands of thoughts. 3/4 of those thoughts are typically negative thoughts, which increases our inflammatory hormones. So if we're not talking to ourselves like, I am powerful, I am in control of my destiny, I am special, I am valuable. If we don't self-talk to ourselves and telling ourselves that we are amazing people, we start to doubt who we really are based off of everybody's reaction to us. And if multiple people are starting to do that, then it leads to the attraction of the energy you give out. And so before you know it, you are all talking down, which increases depression, decreases our happy hormones, and increases stress hormones. And that's all relative right here to how we think. But if we have mental emotional pain and we carry that with us, that increases physical pain, and physical pain increases blood pressure, which upregulates the vagus nerve for stimulation of the fight or flight response. Not good over a long period of time. Okay, our liver. Our liver regulates endocrine responses to maintain glucose, homeostasis, and proper liver function. So when we are taking too much sugar, we're really wreaking havoc on the liver, which means our parasympathetic nervous system is not able to engage properly, which creates a lot of the gut problems. And we do know that sugar is the culprit for a lot of problems. So not telling you what to eat or what to drink, but just know that sugar does cause a lot of inflammation. It causes a lot of excess yeast in the system and can convert to yeast, which causes issues in our mouth, causes inflammation systemically, which wreaks havoc on our vagus nerve. Now, our heart, it modifies and regulates heart rhythm and heart rate, as well as changing our overall vascular tone. So we want to make sure that we're doing what we can to keep our heart happy, healthy, and pumping fluidly. And a lot of different things that we do using the LifePro platforms, using the under the desk bicycle and elliptical, any kind of physical movement that we have will help in increasing how the vagus nerve regulates the stress response and allows us the ability to recover. However, too much cardiovascular exercise can actually send our vagus nerve plunging down. I found that out the hard way by doing too much. I was addicted to exercise. I was doing anywhere from 12 to 15 hours of cardiovascular exercise per week and absolutely loved it until my body became so toxic and inflamed that I was retaining water and my body could not eliminate the waste fast enough. So I got very sick. So I had to learn anything over 20 minutes of cardiovascular exercise with an elevated heart rate is going to increase cortisol, stress hormones, and adrenaline norepinephrine, and is going to shut down our happy hormones and our gut regulation response. So what I would recommend, if you enjoy doing cardiovascular exercise, and if you're not training for an endurance event, get in 20 minutes of cardiovascular exercise and then push right on into resistance training. If you want to get another round of cardiovascular exercise, follow it up after you have done the resistance training, because resistance training actually induces a surge of human growth hormone and testosterone, which decreases our cortisol level of hormone, increases nitric oxide, which flushes our vessels out so that we can actually replenish the blood supply, and it's not as hard. Sorry, it's not as hard for that blood to flush through, but that's all a nitric oxide. And so when you do too much cardio and not as much resistance training, or you do too much exercise too often, it can actually make you sick. We see a lot of overuse in youth sports, and the definition of professionalizing youth sports is doing more than 3 days a week of sports, with in addition to the competition on, let's say, weekends. So if you don't take 2 complete days off for active recovery, you are now working as if you are a professional athlete, but your body has not had a chance to adapt and develop. And then last but not least, we've got inflammation, which suppresses the unregulated inflammatory responses via the different neural pathways. So not good when you're inflamed. And inflammation can be a lot of different definitions. So what I'd like to share with you is the stress cycle, okay? Our stress cycle. When our stress goes way up, okay, we have a decrease in muscle recovery. And so what happens when we have too much stress, we're exercising too much, our body cannot release fat at the rate that we're wanting to burn the fat. And so our body starts feasting itself on muscle fibers, and our body starts breaking down, which is not good. I found that out the hard way by doing too much. So I guess that's they say that some of your greatest moments of adversity teach you the greatest lessons, and then make you an expert at what you're teaching. And that would be my situation. So yes. So again, if you are feeling like you are in control of life, life is great, you're feeling free, you're feeling happy, you can go with the flow, you're at the very high end of the autonomic nervous system ladder of emotions, you have the ability to control how your systems are working. If you are at the bottom of the barrel and you feel, or the bottom of the ladder, and you feel numb and collapsed and shut down, and if anything else comes your way, you're just over it, then your autonomic nervous system is collapsing and your vagus nerve is stressing, which leads to all these different symptoms. So as I mentioned earlier, those who are just joining this episode, give me a thumbs up or happy if that's where we're at. Give me a sad face or thumbs down if we're at the bottom of the ladder and we're desperate for help. And give me straight face, a little bit of fire if we're needing to boost that energy up just a little bit, but you're still hanging on. Okay. And that way I can get an idea of where all you're at. And again, we talked about how the vagus nerve, the gatekeeper of stress, regulates depression. And sometimes medication has to be involved in order to change the neurotransmitter in the brain as to the chemical reactions and the processes in the electrical system that happen. And so I'm not here to tell any of you what medication you need to be on or how you're supposed to regulate, but I'm here to help you with some different ways that you can use Life Pro products in order to help work against breaking down the system, and how to reboot and recharge the system, because that's what Life Pro tools are all about. So some examples of stress, and let me tell you, I've had to deal with a lot of these lately, a lot of these. So here in the last 5 years, it has been a roller coaster ride, but not even the last 5 years. I'll be 45 next week. And then the last, I'm going to say 20 years, I have lived a life through so much trauma and recovery, and then trauma and recovery, and then adversity and recovery. It has been a roller coaster ride. So I totally get you guys. Stress decreases immunity. Okay. It decreases, I'm sorry, stress. If we have a high level of stress, yes, it decreases our immune system. So inflammation goes up. Okay. If we are dealing with stress and not able to, okay, I'm seeing a comment just come in, recovering from a rotator cuff surgery from 3 weeks out. That is a very long recovery compared to some of the other recoveries that are out there. But in this scenario of recovering from the rotator cuff injury, let's just remember the gratitude on all this. So this is how you flip the switch. The recovery from the rotator cuff surgery is that you know it's fixed, And every time you go to raise your arm, you're not going to have that sharp, debilitating pain that's going to make you feel like you're ripping your arm off a socket. It's actually fixed and it's recovering, but it's going to be very stiff and very uncomfortable for a little while. And the recovery is quite lengthy as compared to some of the others. But the good note is you're on the road to recovery, and the 3 weeks out, you're past the worst part. Stress decreases libido. How many people out there don't feel frisky, don't love themselves, don't want to be with anybody else? I get it. When you're exhausted and your body is crashing, all you want to do is sleep, right? All you want to do is sleep. And then when you think you can try and sleep, you toss and you turn and you wake up like it seems like every 30 minutes or every hour. And all you want to do is just sleep nonstop for like 6 hours so you can actually refuel, but you just can't get there. You can't even fall asleep, or maybe you wake up early and you want no part of having a partner. Like, that's decreased libido, not good, right? Because we're all meant to interact. So decreases libido when stress goes up. It also, what we're going to talk about is decreasing the vagal tone. That's what we're talking about today. Increases cortisol. When we have lots of stress, increase in cortisol hormone, increases our heart load, increases our blood pressure, okay? And increases the tonicity in our muscle, which is not so great in some ways because our body starts to feast upon it. So we need to make sure that we're fighting against that in a good kind of way. So where does Life Pro come in? Well, we are going to talk about all the different things that we can gain from this. We've talked about the different branches, and now we're going to talk about more of what the vagus nerve actually does. And so I'm going to show you this picture up close and in person. You're going to see the little dots on the human body. And up at the very top, it conveys information from the organs to the brain. That's what the vagus nerve. So it's extracting information and it's sending it up the pipeline, providing feedback to the brain. So the brain knows how to bounce back and provide the command center as to how things work. Now, when it comes to our throat, it controls our throat muscles and knowing how to send food and air into the right tubes. So it helps to regulate homeostasis, how our body takes fuel and converts it into energy. It's also responsible for speech and muscle movements. So if you're having trouble talking, you start getting a cracked voice, you lose the ability to sing the way that you want to sing, then that is a sign that your vagus nerve is struggling. It lowers blood pressure in the case of illness or emotional stress so that you actually have the capacity to keep up without stroking, okay? It causes, here's an interesting one. There are a lot of people who have presented this symptom and nobody can seem to figure out what's wrong, especially with athletes. When this happens, and it comes back to this every time, it causes fainting when it's overstimulated, and it leads to temporary loss of consciousness and bladder control. Now, what happens? A lot of times when athletes are pushing full force and they're giving it all they got, and they gas the engine until they get to the end of the game, and then all the adrenaline is gone, everybody's coming up to wish them a good win. Oh, you did great out there. And then out of nowhere, they pass out. That's the vagus nerve protecting the body. And so what do? Not panic, not kick in the sympathetic nervous system, but just remember, it is the body's way of protecting you from hurting yourself. And so when your body passes out and goes unconscious or subconscious, hopefully somebody is in your space that can help you get into a recovery position and teaches you how to breathe so that you can calm the lungs and the diaphragm down and lower the heart rate, which then allows you go into the recovery mode as opposed to continuing to fight and stay up. And then last but not least, it is responsible for controlling digestion and is responsible for your gut feeling full. I fail there. I went on a food binge this week, guys. I am not one that does a lot of eating through the week because I spend so much time in this room healing so many different people. And I've been on a trip out of town 2 weeks over the last 3 weeks, and I went on major food binge. I gained like 12 pounds in a month. Like, how many people can honestly say that they can gain 12 pounds in 1 month? So you're going to get to watch me go through my recovery journey over the next month or two, in which I'm going to use the vibration platforms to calm my nervous system down, to get my muscles to refire, to get the lymphatic system flushing the crap out of the system. And how do I know this is going to work? Because this is how I found Life Pro. I was in the same situation over 5 years ago after having a hysterectomy. My body would not allow my deep pelvic muscles to refire, which caused low back pain, which caused me to want to binge eat because I was depressed and angry at the world and grieving the loss of my feminine parts. And then along comes Live Pro, and I stood on that machine every day for just 2 weeks. And then my engine started firing again. It was just like, ah. But here's where it comes into play. I had to learn how to use not only my pelvic floor down in here, but I also had to learn how to use my diaphragm to control breathing because it is what calms the vagus nerve down and recharges things so our body can continue to thrive. And so that's how I came about with Life Pro. Is it was I had already gone through physical therapy. I had seen the surgeon. I had seen the doctor. I had tried all these different things. And my physician suggested trying a vibration platform. And so I ended up in buying one and talking to Joel about it. And that's how I ended up in being your leader and head of health and wellness at Life Pros through my own adversity. So been there, done that, and guess what? Doing it all over again because I like to eat junk when I'm on vacation, even though it's not good for you to do that. But I gave myself permission to go on a binge eating and having a lot of crap food with my family because why not? And now I'm paying for it. So we got to reverse the horse and get the vagus nerve kicking back into recovery mode. And I will be using the sauna and the vibration platform and red light therapy in order to do that. But I'm also going to use some of these freebies that I'm going to share with you as to what you can do at home in order to help with improving your what is called vagal nerve tone so that you can enjoy things in your life without wondering if you're still going to be able to rise up with enough energy. And so some natural techniques that you can use for stimulating the vagus nerve. When it comes to what we call improving vagal nerve tone, we are going to work on doing some of these things at home, but you're also going to be able to use some of our different components, some of our different devices at home in order to help. So if you have the eye massager, if you have the Oculex eye massager, give me a happy face because the Oculex eye massager, or give me some big eyeballs. I want to see big eyeballs in the comment section if you have the Oculex eye massager. When you wear the Oculex eye massager, it provides heat, it provides Bluetooth sound if you decide to sync up, it provides a massage. And what does that do? It's very calming, right? It allows us to distract our thinking and our overwhelming process by providing this massage over our forehead, around our cheeks, along the side. And we actually have to sit down in order to use it, in order to relax, because if we because if we are not able to relax while we're wearing this mask that we can't see through, now we're going into a bit of a panic and trying to figure out where we're at in space. So the Oculex is a phenomenal product in order to use. I'll bring it out here in just a few seconds, but I want to make sure and go through some of these different things that will help naturally if you don't want to take medication to help reboost that vagus nerve and improve your overall vagal nerve tone. So if you're trying to Google some of this information at home, type in vagal nerve tone in order to understand it. Okay, exercise. Number one is exercise. Get your body moving. Movement is medicine. Motion is lotion, right? So if we are carrying a lot of inflammation in our extremities, we've got to make sure that we are stimulating the release of our lymphatic system to pump it up into our lymph nodes so that we can expel it out, okay? Our body does not have a mechanical pump that pumps out all the lymphatic fluids that are circulating in the extremity regions, okay? Our heart is a mechanical pump. Our lymphatic system uses the twitching of muscles in order to mobilize the fluid. Now, somebody asked me this over the weekend. Well, doesn't running and walking do the same thing? Yes, but what happens with impact? If we've already had a long day of walking, okay, and we've been walking for a long period of time, and we've been stressed while we're walking because we're shopping, or we're walking for family, or we're going to point A, point B, and we're not really in a meditational state, we're actually increasing stress hormones and creating impact at the same time that we're walking. So if you don't already have a whole body vibration platform, my favorite is the Rumble X series. So the Rumble X Plus is flat. I use it with the majority of my clients in order to assess and evaluate where at in their body that they're holding tension. But we also have one that came out. It's the very first one that came out, and it's the Rumble X 4D. It has a pretty significant curve. If you have artificial knees or artificial ankle or hips, you want to avoid that 4D with the big curve because it places more stress in those joints. But any flat platform or even the Rumble X Pro, which has just a very slight bank, is always wonderful if you're needing to utilize that. When it comes to using the Rumble X or whatever platform that you choose to try to use at home, all you got to do is just stand on it. Stand on it for 10 minutes. If you love how you feel, jack up for another 10 minutes, but you can only use it for 10 minutes per program, and then you have to hit the reset button. My all-time favorite program is the Rumble X series. P2 on any of those platforms is always a favorite for me. I love P2 program. It's where I feel the greatest amount of change in my body. It's different for everybody though. So here's something to remember. If you start to feel cramping in your gut when you're on the vibration platform, what does the vagus nerve do? It actually regulates your gut. So if you're not working those muscles because they don't know how to work because we're working too hard all the time and we're overstressed, if those muscles don't know how to fire, then by just standing or sitting on any of our vibration platforms will stimulate those muscles to twitch involuntarily, meaning the brain is not commanding it to happen. It's just happening because it's a reaction to a stimulus. So in any vibration energy that we can provide to our entire body through the extracellular matrix, which is part of the fascia, if we have adhesions or if we have junk in the trunk or we have scar tissue that doesn't want to work the way it's supposed to, that internal earthquake effect, that pumping that creates our muscles to twitch, that stimulus, that vibration actually rearranges and recalibrates the electrical pathways of our connective tissue system by just standing or sitting on that vibration platform. It is my number one favorite piece of equipment that LifePro has ever released in the history of that business. And I've been with them from the very beginning. It is my absolute favorite device. So if I had to get rid of every LifePro device I've ever had and just keep one thing, it's one of the Rumble X's. And it's probably going to be the Rumble X Plus because I like to be able to do things with my hands and I like to be able to sit on it and drape my legs over it and do some different things in order to relax and feel refreshed, especially when I've worked a really long, hard day and I'm exhausted. That's what I like to get on before I go home because it allows my brain to go into recovery mode and it allows my body to flush all of the toxins before I get into bed. Now, I have a problem with waking up in the morning. My body does not like to jumpstart the engine of the Ferrari. My body likes to jumpstart an engine that has been sitting for a long period of time. It's like you turn the key over and it's like, right? It just doesn't want to work. So sometimes if I get on the vibration platform and I just stand there and receive the energy, some days it will actually jumpstart my engine after I've been in bed. And I've got one in my kitchen. And then I've got several here in my facility. So yes, so if you happen to need more than one, if you happen to be at work and you're able to put one underneath of your desk, it will keep the fluids in your lower extremity, the lymph, mobilizing so that you don't develop inflammation from sitting, making it harder on your pumps in order to get blood flow to the extremity and back up to the heart. So the gut, again, if you start to feel nauseous or if you start to feel really uncomfortable, choose a different level of program, but do not discontinue using the platform because it is tapping into something that needs to be tapped into. It is stimulating all of those little muscles to start working, okay? And a lot of that goes into the pelvic floor. So let me pull up what the pelvic floor looks like because most people don't understand what the pelvic floor is. And it is an essential part of the body that if you're not using it, you're in trouble because it controls just as much of your body as what these other nerves do, okay? It controls the bladder, the prostate, the uterus, It controls energy. So if you're not transferring energy from your extremities all the way up into your core central zone, it controls how the spine regulates. So you can have spine pain or back pain just by not actively working the pelvic floor as you should. So let me pull this up for you. And we'll see if I can get that to turn on, because I know you love seeing my little grid here. Okay, and then in the meantime, whoops. Now, when we are looking at, okay, this is going to be kind of interesting for you to see. Our pelvic floor is this circle ring right here. So if I'm showing you on my big model, yeah, so there we go. So I'm going to pull up a couple of different things here. This is my pelvic girdle, okay? And yes, we all have this. I actually had a young man who asked me when I was teaching him how to fire his core properly because he had back pain. He actually ended up with a stress fracture in his spine by playing football. When I taught him this model, he's like, "Do I really have one of those?" And I said, "Yes, we all have one of these, or you wouldn't be able to run." So I have to throw a little shout out there to my football guy, because he's going off to play football now in a wonderful program, because he's such an exceptional young man. But in order to get his body working properly, we had to work on these muscles right through here. This is where your pelvic floor lives, okay? This is where all the magic happens, all the action. And what happens is all the energy comes up into this leg, crosses through into the pelvis, and travels up the torso, and either through one shoulder or through both, or it releases through the head and neck. Okay, so pelvic floor, those muscles, that hammock of muscles makes up the entry to the power vacuum, okay, the power zone. And then at the very top of that is our diaphragm, which is right up here. Most people don't realize how powerful the diaphragm is, so I'm going to talk to you about that. But the power vacuum is from pelvis to diaphragm. So the energy bounces through here and either travels up and out one side or the other, or it travels up around the neck and back down to the opposite side, or it can travel up and in the neck and out. So if we're not utilizing our power vacuum through the pelvic floor, then we're missing a lot. But the vagus nerve actually ends right here, right there in the pelvic floor is where the vagus nerve ends. Isn't that crazy? And yes, if we're not using that, we're creating more problems for ourselves. And so when I turn this little guy around, okay, and yes, you hear me. You've heard me say, hold your pee, hold your poo. And that's why, because the pelvic floor this is the backside of the pelvic floor. And that right there is your anus. That's where all the stuff comes out. And the vagus nerve has something to do with that, believe it or not. And so in this model, you can see the pelvic floor on the back. You can see the holes in the middle and the hole in the front. It doesn't make any difference. In a male, the middle hole is missing, and we just have the front and the back, but we still have the prostate. And in ladies, we have the uterus. So it also has to be supported, okay? And the reason why the back is like, this is the number one cause of back pain, is because the energy is lost here. So the back has to work a lot harder. Now, let's talk about the diaphragm, because this is really important when it comes to understanding what everything that does. So this muscle right here, right across here, that big yellow muscle that I just lit up. Make sure I can get that to look right. Yeah, so that big yellow muscle, that entire mass is your diaphragm. Very important, because the vagus nerve regulates breathing through that. And if you don't know how to breathe using your diaphragm, then everything else has to work a lot harder, including your low back. So we can eliminate back pain by just teaching you how to use the diaphragm. That psoas muscle, I am always talking about the psoas muscle, and that's this really big muscle that attaches to your spine. The vibration platform has the ability to calm that muscle down, and it is the number one fight or flight muscle in the lower body, next to the jaw and the neck muscles. So if we carry, like grinding, if you grind your teeth at night when you're in bed, you're triggering more tension in the TMJ as well as in the neck, which triggers this muscle to work way harder, which then means back pain kicks in because it pulls the spine forward. So I can get into that in another discussion, but all of this matters. We'll just go there. All this matters. So the vibration platform, doesn't matter which one, but the Rumble-X is my favorite, is really good for exercise. Okay. Now, deep, slow breathing. So I'm going to go through and share all of these with you, and then I'll go back through and tell you where Life Pro comes in to help. So exercise, deep, slow breathing, thoughtful meditation, just chillaxing and chilling out, which is what I did all last week, singing, laughing, gargling, and yoga. Okay. Those are some things that you can do at home in order to increase vagal nerve tone, decreasing our sympathetic nervous system and allowing our body to repair itself, fix itself, regulate the gut, and regulate the stress hormones appropriately, decreases inflammation. So with yoga, Roseanne has taught so many different yoga classes in the last several months, couple years. So you can go into our search bar on the YouTube page for Life Pro and just type in the search bar yoga, and it'll pull up every yoga video that's ever been done. And that's an easy way for you to remember. Yoga is not so much about acrobatics and how well you can stretch. Yoga originally came about in the form of meditation and proper breathing and just being able to control how your brain works. Okay. So if you can't get into certain positions or you can't do certain things that you're finding in some of the yoga tutorial videos, it is a practice, which means you're not doing yoga, you're practicing yoga, which means you're going to be maybe doing something a little different each time in order to benefit your needs. But it's a personal journey for yoga. So don't be afraid to just sit and pause and just focus on the breathing, the breathing in and the breathing out. Okay, because that actually helps tremendously with calming down the vagus nerve. Just chilling out. And when I say chilling out, I'm referring to chill factor. So exposure to cold dampens the fight or flight response and increases the rest and the digestion response. So taking a cold shower, or you're starting to see a lot of people doing cold water plunges. Okay. Now I was in Montana last week. 3 weeks ago, I was in St. Thomas where it was high 80s every day. Fantastic. I love the heat because I love how it makes me feel. But last week, I got to be in snow. So that's where I was at last week, was in Montana, where it was really cold. And my favorite night that I was gone, I got into this hot tub, and I'll show you a picture if I can pull this off. I got into this hot tub one night, and it was like freezing temperatures. There was a 40-mile-an-hour gust wind storm coming through, and I was sitting on a several 100-acre lake. Okay, yeah, like called me crazy, right? But I enjoyed having my body submerged in the heat and my upper body feeling the frigid cold weather. And it actually helped me to relax and chill out, literally. But a lot of athletes, a lot of individuals, not even just athletes, but the active population are starting to do a cold water plunge, where they're putting ice cubes in their bathtub and going for a submerge, or they're splashing cold water on their face, or they're going out into the snow and doing snow angels. If you can submerge into cold water for a certain amount of time, it's usually 7 minutes or less, so you don't experience the frostbite. You can experience some rapid recovery that way. We offer a service here at my facility where you can actually submerge in one of our cold water baths. And I like to video those people and ask them questions while they're submerged, because it forces them to be in a controlled state of mind, which actually helps their recovery. They're not in a panic state. They're in an executive state of mind where they're in control over their thoughts, and it makes a huge difference. So I'm pretty sure this young man won't mind me showing you this, but That's a young man that's like sitting in this plunge tub on my front porch with lots of ice. And he was miserable, but he said, "Oh, the things that we have to do to love our body so it can take care of us. Oh, the things that we don't want to do that we have to do to love our body so it can take care of us, because it is an engine and a vehicle to get us from one place to another. And so when we don't take care of it over time and we beat it up, then we have to do certain things we don't want to do in order to rebuild it up. So, yeah, so super, super, super cold, 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 cold. And now they're making tubs specifically made to regulate temperature so you can just fill them up and just get in them. But me, I'm going to choose to stay in the heated sauna, because the heated sauna does the same thing, because we're using wavelength, infrared wavelength technology that works through our body from the inside out. So an ice bath works great though. Singing. So somebody asks me what I like to do in my free time in order to recharge my batteries, because people are like, what do you do to recharge? I actually like to be in my car alone, singing to music that just makes me happy. And I like to pretend like I'm this world class singer, and I'm really not. And I like to pretend, because I enjoy putting out the music. Even though I'm not the best singer, I love thinking about the words that I'm hearing, the tempo. And even if I don't have music and I'm just singing out loud, my daughter likes to sing in the shower, make up her own words, and that's her calming. She's only 12, so she's got it figured out. Um, but singing, humming, chanting all increase heart rate variability. And if you can check your HRV, heart rate variability, we want to see that, especially resting heart rate in the morning, first when you sit up. If you check your resting heart rate over the period of a week and take the average of that, and if you start to notice that your heart rate is starting to go up when you wake up in the morning and your resting heart rate is increased, then that is a good signal that your body is inflamed and is not ready to perform. So we have to do some different recovery methods in order to get that resting heart rate to drop back down, because that happens when our body recovers and repairs itself when we sleep at night, only when we sleep at night. Um, but singing also, because I love to sing and think that I'm like the world's greatest singer, even when I'm not. I love hearing the words, I love the tempo. Singing actually increases oxytocin, which is the love hormone. And it happens and it brings people closer together. So if you look at the higher heart rate variability, a higher heart rate variability is linked with reduced morbidity and mortality and improved psychological well-being and quality of life. So improve or increase your heart rate variability as you have control of it, not as a response to a threat. And you can do that by singing. Okay. Now, something else that I also like to do, if you find out in a lot of my videos, I also like to laugh and smile a lot. Smiling relaxes this jaw muscle right here, which takes the tension off of our neck, which immediately reduces the tension in our low back. Laughing is a natural immune booster, like singing, and can increase heart rate variability. So if you don't like to sing, but you like to laugh, then you can laugh at those who are singing, because it draws community together. So one thing that we did last week while I was out of town, I won't play it out loud, but I actually took a video of this because it was so much fun. But I was in a van with a large group of women, and we were at this retreat, and we're in the van and we're playing music, and we're all singing aloud, and we're swaying side to side, having a good time. Some of us are singing out loud and some of us are laughing. But just to laugh out loud, or just to sing while somebody else is laughing out loud, makes for so much joy and community. So when in doubt, if you're not feeling great, find a group to hang with and just laugh, just to laugh. You don't have to have a reason to laugh. You get to laugh because you can laugh. Okay. So laughing is a natural immune booster. Now, the other thing that helps is gargling. And you can do salt and water gargles, or you can do hydrogen peroxide gargles in your mouth. You can also do a baking soda gargle. I actually have a nurse practitioner that mentioned to me that you can actually swallow a baking soda gargle. So you can gargle, and then you can actually swallow the baking soda, and it actually helps clear out the valves. But gargling with water stimulates the muscles in the palate of your mouth, which has been shown to help with memory. So if you're struggling with memory, by gargling or by swishing. Some people are doing an act called oil pulling, and you take a special oil and you squirt it in your mouth and you move it around for a period of time, and then you spit it out. That will actually pull and extract toxins out of your mouth, but it also requires you to use those muscles. So it's called oil pulling. You can look it up, but you use a special oil and about 4 to 6 squirts underneath your tongue, and you just swish it around for like 5 or 10 minutes if you can tolerate that. I don't tolerate it that long, so I just swish it along as long as I can. But just swishing around helps with how our palate works. Now, a real quick insight here. When we are looking at how our body is connected together with the extracellular matrix or our cellular system, we have one part of our body called the deep front line, and it starts right here on the bottom of the foot. And you can see most of it comes together through our pelvic floor, our adductors, and our diaphragm, as well as our low back. But it also attaches in the roof of our mouth. So this all starts at the bottom, but it attaches in the roof of our mouth. So that's why some of these different remedies that you can do naturally for free help with how our entire system regulates, because that part of our system is also part of the regulation. It's like part of the control panel of the entire human body, and it ends in the mouth but starts from the ground. So all the energy that we absorb through our body actually is absorbed through the feet, through the ground, or whatever, you know, if your palms are in contact with the ground, whatever you're in contact with. Okay. Now, yes, good call. I'm seeing some good comments on oil pulling. Okay, we've talked about a lot of different things. Now, how does Life Pro products make a difference? First things first, when it comes down to the vibration massage gun. So if we're looking at massage guns, any massage gun that you can provide what is called mechanical vibration. You can provide vibration to our upper, to our lower, to the whole body, or just to a given area. And it is a vibration stimulation to the whole body. That means that it triggers the body to be receiving of that, which creates a spasm, which allows the body to be more fluid as to how it mobilizes different parts of our body, including our lymph and including our inflammation. So any kind of vibration, whether it's the vibration platform, the massage, the vibrating massage foam roller, the vibrating balls, we have the massage guns. We've got some different devices just for the legs and the feet. Whatever different things that you can use for your hands. We've got several different hand massagers that we put out. Anything that vibrates actually is a neurosensory stimulus to helping our body receive information in its surrounding, and that goes into helping to heal the vagus nerve. So vagus nerve is all about fight or flight response. Our vagus nerve starts to wear out in the heightened sense of sympathetic when we are dealing with stress, working too hard, not taking care of ourselves, increasing the amount of stress around us, even if it's good stress, So just making sure that you're utilizing that. When it comes to overall wellness, and we're looking at light therapy, red light therapy and infrared light therapy are all really good for helping heal and improve overall vagal nerve tone by introducing wavelength photon light energy from the inside of our body out. So really, really good. If you are wanting to improve overall lymphatic flow, we have our Axis and our Axis Pro air compression massager boots. Those are great for mobilizing lymph and fluid and inflammation and revitalizing our extremities when you've been pushing too hard or when you don't have the ability to exercise. Maybe you're immobilized or you just don't have the energy to move, but we still have to get those fluids somehow continuing to move along, or they sit too long and then they start to turn what we call from sticky honey to then gluing itself and changing how our body is put together with lots of knots. That's not what we want. And fibromyalgia, my legs feel like large bubble wrap when I don't move enough. So, but going back to the vagus nerve, it is the gatekeeper of stress. Starts here at base of your cranial system. It's the 10th cranial nerve. It attaches down here in the lower region of the excretory system, your colon, bowel area. The uterus sits right in the vicinity of all of that, and it branches off right and left and accesses different points. And it is a very, very powerful nerve. What do we do in order to decrease stress? Just by standing on the platform decreases stress. Just by exercising, getting on a bike and pedaling, just keeping our feet moving on an under the desk elliptical trainer, just lifting weights. We have all the different adjustable weights. We have all the different videos that you can use, that we've taught you all different ways of how you can use our many different products. There's just the wide range of different ways that you can help yourself. If you have oral issues like I have had the last 6 months, we have a red light therapy mouth device that you can stick the probe in, and it produces a red light therapy, and you don't have to keep your mouth open. You can actually stick the probe in your mouth and close your mouth. But remember, that is a one-person device, so it's not a device you want to share amongst other people. But in a sense, the vagus nerve, if you have questions, you can type it in, but do see what you can do to help yourself, because the vagus nerve is the gatekeeper of stress. It is what stimulates our brain to be in a fight or flight protective mode, or whether we are in an active state of recovery where our gut is regulating and fixing itself. When our fat releases for energy, we cannot lose fat when we're in a fight or flight state all the time. It takes too much energy to break that down, especially when we're doing too much cardio. We actually pack on fat and we start breaking down muscle. So have really enjoyed your company with me today, but I've been wanting to talk about that topic for a long time. Does anybody have any questions that I can answer here in the next 5 minutes before we call it an afternoon? I just want to check in and make sure that everybody is feeling good. Best Life Pro item for bone on bone knees. That is a tough question because I think it's different for everybody. Anything that does not involve impact would be a good thing, because anytime you have impact, you're just pushing that bone to bone grinding even more. So you might try one of the vibration platforms, whatever platform you feel most comfortable with or can afford. Again, the Rumble X, hands down, will go down as my favorite forever. But you can sit in a chair with your knees elevated, with your feet on top of it and your knees bent, or you can load and put a ball in between your knees, so you're stimulating muscle activation where we should have muscle activation. But be careful with doing anything that requires impact and grinding or rotation at the same time, because that will cause more pain in the knees. Sometimes a bike can do that, and sometimes a bike can be really, really calming. And those of you who are just jumping on and have missed this amazing episode of how our vagus nerve operates, it will be saved and you can watch it all the way back from the very beginning. And here in upcoming weeks, we'll make this more of a, I like to turn this into some mini little workouts, like some 10-minute workouts of what we can do for calming and doing things to relax the vagus nerve and increase vagal nerve tone, versus trying to deplete the energy in our body, because we have all these different workout programs that are welcome, you are able to use. If you go to YouTube and you're looking for different ways of how you can do our series of videos, 21 ways in 21 days to a better you, or the 21-day challenge, is a list of videos that you can do. They're the 3 to 5 10-minute intervals of just different little expert tips and tricks of how to use your vibration platform for different outcomes. You'll find that in a playlist on YouTube. You can also go to YouTube, to the Life Pro channel, and just type in Amber vibration platform, and you'll find a lot of videos that I've done for recovery, whether it's for back pain, for hip pain, different workouts I've done if you're really wanting to feel the energy rising and the resistance training. But we'll come through here in upcoming weeks with some different little mini workouts or mini programs, like 10 minutes or less, that you can do on your platform from the convenience of home, in order to help with improving how the vagus nerve regulates from up here. What is the name of the red light therapy device? That is a good question. It is bio something. Let me pull it up here right quick and I'll let you know. It is a great, it came out while I was in Arizona last year for Thanksgiving, and it came out in the perfect time that I needed it, because my body was not doing very, it was not doing very well at all. with all these different mouth sores from just doing too much all the time. Let's see here. It's called the BioCare. Yes, she just hit a link to it. If you type in your order summary when you go to buy that product, type in for the discount or coupon code Amber10, all one word, and it will give you an extra discount, Amber10. But the BioCare cold sore device, it's 690 nanometers of red light therapy for cold sores in your mouth, and works really, really well, very, very quick. If you're able to do it multiple times a day. And if you are not taking a medication for cold sore therapy, you might talk to your doctor if you have repetitive. When it comes to the red light therapy glasses, the link is provided there. The other device that I talked about for calming down the nervous system through your eyes and through a facial massage is called the Oculax. The Oculax is an eye massager, provides heat, music, vibration, calming. It's a great product. We actually sell through a lot of those here at my facility because we use it for a lot of our treatments where people can just come in and relax, along with the Axis air compression boots. Those are great. We just launched out the Axis Pro recovery boots, which have a whole different level of systems on there from last year's model. They've been upgraded. So I hope that helps you. Any other questions here in the next 5 minutes? I'll answer. Thank you all so much for being so attentive. And trust me, I'm just going to share with you, it has been a real struggle for me the last 6 months. For the most part, as long as I'm working, I'm very happy. I love working. I love my family, and I love the opportunity to be able to serve. Sometimes we want too much of a good thing, and sometimes that means we have to take a big step back and figure out, where we have to eliminate extra stress in our life or nip the thorns on the rose bush, if you will. So I want to leave you with some different quotes because I have been doing some meditational thinking, and that's kind of what last week was about with me being gone for this adult retreat. And I think it's really, really special. Um, our theme was called Why Wait? And the reason why I'm sharing this with you is the gentleman who introduced me to the CEO of Life Pro is the one who connects the two of us together. If you are so here's how I'm going to go with this. A blank canvas is the best time to create and build your vision, whether it's your life, whether it's your business, whether it's your education, whether you're not quite sure you're wanting to switch some things up in your life. A blank canvas is the best time to create and build a vision, which means there's nothing going on in your life. You're not quite sure where you want to go. There's a pivot. Even if your life is a mess, treat it like an etch and sketch and shake it blank. You have the control and the power to change how your life flows if you choose to. If you choose to be reactive and you want everybody else to control your life, then that places you into a victimization. But if you're wanting to be in active control over who is influencing you and what you want your life to look at, that is being more of a survivor of stress and being in what I call an executive state of mind. So even if your life is a mess, treat it like an etch and sketch, the little toy that kids play with, shake it around, create the blank slate, and start drawing your life out again. Whomever is in your life, whatever is in your life that does not provide good energy, good feedback, is not serving you well, eliminate it. It's that simple. I'm going to give you an acronym. SEE. Simplify complex things in your world, eliminate all the crap that's causing the problems, and elevate your life to a different level. Simplify complex things, eliminate the mess, elevate your life, because you are in control. Okay. When it comes to, I live on a farm. When we go through summer and the gardens are overgrown with weeds, and we're getting ready to go through some life-changing processes, the harvest is coming, and we're getting ready to clear out all the crop. We still want to see things flowering, but we can't see the flowers because the weeds are in the way. And sometimes too many weeds or too many flowers doesn't allow us to see the beauty that's within because it's overwhelming. Go in and clear it out. Yank the weeds, clear out the ground that's causing more of a distraction. And just like overgrown land that needs clearing, your life can be cleared too. Like you just have to be in control of what you tend to recognize and what you don't tend to recognize. Just don't hurt other people in the process, is what I like to say. Those of you who are servants, who are always giving, 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 and who are always leading, sometimes you just have to pause and allow that energy to come back to you. Okay. Sometimes we give, 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 and you can give so much. But I like to say greatness is not experienced or measured by what we have. It's experienced and measured by what we're able to give and share of our gifts to each other. That's why I'm always here. Okay. And the more that we're able to give and share of each other, the more that energy comes back full circle to you. And I love this role that I get to play with Life Pro because so many of you have come into my life because of my ability to educate and serve you through my own challenges, and using my expertise for what it's worth to help all of you so that you don't feel like you're alone. So, if you feel like you're always giving and friends or colleagues, workers, energy is not coming back around to you, then take a big step back and reevaluate. And what I'm serving, is that really just going to a dead end and that energy not coming back? Or people taking advantage of that energy? Or am I just not able to willingly accept and receive? Because that can be a problem too. If you are not able to accept and receive what is presented to you, that is a fault in itself, and it's okay to fail. But just make sure that you know that you're worthy of receiving the energy back as well. Some of us have a really hard time. I say us, some of us have a very hard time at receiving energy because we're just used to giving all the time and we're used to being in those trenches. But sometimes we have to be worthy and willing and receiving to accept what's being presented to us, because that's how other people want to share. And because we are used to giving so much, we feel guilty at times for being able to receive. Don't feel guilty. Just make sure that you know that you're able to receive just as much as you're able to give. And if you're not able to receive, that's something you have to learn. Otherwise, the vagus nerve will completely fry out. Like it'll cook you quick. So make sure that you're still able to receive that love and that joy and the energy that's coming back to you because you are able to give it out. Um, Failure is a thought and it's a feeling that you can release and dismiss. So if you feel like you're a failure, or if you feel like you're failing in life, you get to forgive yourself and you get to let that go, but only if you choose to. And if you're willing to do that, make sure and reevaluate. Yes, I have failed in my life. Yes, I did fail last week. Yes, I did fail yesterday. What did I do that I learned from it? Because I like to teach my 12-year-old daughter, your job as a child, as a teenager, is to explore, discover, and fail. She's like, Mom, I don't know what my purpose is. I'm like, your purpose is to explore, discover, and fail. And what happens when we fail? We learn from it. And so we learn lessons that we can apply to something else going forward. So what we're doing right here is thoughtful meditation. We're doing mindfulness here. We're coaching the mental side of things. And so many people don't take time to do that. And I love being able to do that for my job. Sometimes the thing that bring you the most value are really quite simple, but we tend to make them more complex. Okay, now this is really important, and this is why Life Pro is at the forefront, and that's why I am super busy. Pain will kill you if you don't acknowledge it. You have to recognize it before you can overcome it, and don't ever suffer in silence. Because I know so many of you are sitting at home right now behind the screen and you're watching me, and you're thinking, man, I feel like she does. How does she do it? How does she smile and how does she get through each day? It's because I give out a lot of energy and I'm getting the love back from the energy that I'm giving back. I have an addiction to taking away pain from everybody, okay? But you can only take away pain from people who are willing to recognize it. If you're trying to take away pain from people who don't realize that they have pain in their life, or that they're a victim and they're not willing to be a survivor, then it's really hard to fix pain. And that's what I get to do. I get to fix pain, and I love that. But I've had to learn it through my own failing and my own adversity, my own challenges. And by becoming a survivor of our challenges and our adversity, I think is a secret way that God tells us that it's okay to go through the process that you're going through, but I'm teaching you something, and I'm teaching you need to do something different. Or I'm teaching you that I am preparing you for the opportunity to help somebody else in the future who has the same challenges that you're surviving through. So I like to say adversity, if you're not in it, it just left you, or it's getting ready to hit you in the face around the corner. So always be ready. And what we think adversity presents as and what it can be are two different things sometimes. So don't be afraid of what's coming your way. You can be a cow or you can be a buffalo. Okay. I live on a cattle farm. When the adversity and the storm is coming, cattle will separate and they turn their butt to the wind. They'll turn their butt to the storm or they'll take cover. Okay. A buffalo. A buffalo is a big, burly, hairy animal, right? Really big, broad front. It forms together in a pack and it surges head on into the storm. And by the time that buffalo figures out how complex that storm is, they're already halfway through it. They're already through the hardest part. So don't be a cow, be a buffalo. Make sure you collaborate and join with others that are willing to serve and share you, who have probably already survived it, that are there to help you survive it so that you can then pay that on forward. So that's what we're all here for. All right. But if you don't acknowledge that you are experiencing physical, emotional, spiritual pain, okay, it will kill you by increasing the levels of stress in your body, creating chronic disease, heart issues, respiratory issues. Um, we've got Alzheimer's, we've got autoimmune disease, diabetes, all of these different things that are coming on are brought on by stress and by pain. So stop protecting yourself from it and start recognizing it so that you can overcome it because that's what we're all here for. Yes, don't be a cow, be a buffalo. I love it. I love it. I love it. Okay. Your heart and your soul will tell you when things are right. So do more of that. And your gut, I'm telling you, your gut will always tell you when there's something bad in your space. So if something feels off in your belly, then you need to either reevaluate the threats that are in your life or you need to make changes to the things or people surrounding you because your gut will never lie to you. Your gut is part of your fight or flight and your survival system. It's your animalian instinct that there is a predator in your space, and that is how you're able to make better decisions to survive. Okay, because we, at the end of the day, we are still all animals in some capacity. When you are stuck, serve more. Okay, because serving is not about, it's not about us as individuals. It's what can I do for somebody else to make their day special. Okay, and so that's why I'm here. That's why I love this. When you are not stuck, serve more. Why? Because it continues to overflow the energy tank. My cuppeth overflow, right? And then sometimes just remember growth in our life. That's my theme for the word, my theme word for the year. Sometimes growth in our life is inconvenient in time and in money. Don't wait for the right time to grow yourself. Sometimes the best time for us to grow is when we're in the hardest part of our life. So for those of you who are feeling like you're at the bottom of this energy ladder and you're numb and you're collapsed and you're shut down, let's not be a victim. Let's figure out what's going right. What can we celebrate that's going right in your life? And let's figure out a way to use that as energy and fuel to continue to rise up. Because once you, not if, once you survive that and you're back on top of this autonomic ladder response, then you're going to be able to give wise words to somebody else who is going through the same thing you just recovered because you've been armed as a survivor instead of falling as being a victim. So don't be a cow, be a buffalo. Okay. I think those are some of the main things that I wanted to share with you today. Yes, that simplify in order to amplify your life. And I shared this not too long ago. Failure is feedback, and it's only true failure if you choose not to learn from it. Okay. Failure is feedback, and it is only true failure if you choose not to learn from it. Okay. So, FIO, go figure it out because it's really that simple. Go figure it out. Failure is not your enemy, it's actually your friend. It doesn't define you, it gets to refine you. It does not define you, it gets to refine you. Okay. Yes, movement is medicine and motion is lotion. So, with that being said, Life Pro, take me away, right? Life Pro, carry me away. Take away the stress, let the energy flow. And when in doubt, just get on a vibration platform. It'll always make you laugh, it'll always make you smile, it'll always make you feel less tense, less pain when you get off of it. Always does for me, and it always does for the clients that I serve. So, I want to say thank you. This was a very long episode. These really energy, education packed topics are, but that's how we learn. We'll break it up into some smaller subsections here in weeks to come. but I'm going to be spending a lot of time on the vagus nerve because it's something we all need to understand and learn. And we need to learn how to hack into it by doing natural things at home, but by also using some of these great products that Life Pro is providing you at world cutting edge class opportunities and innovation. And all of it is research, evidence based, so that you're not just getting something that I'm telling you works and it doesn't work. We have scientists on board, doctors on board, who are figuring out the kinks and making sure that what we are telling you is legit and evidence based. So I want to say thank you. It is our fun Friday of learning information for free. And you didn't have to go to a seminar to learn it. You didn't have to sit on a webinar. You got to see Amber here in the magic space, being able to share magic with all of you. For those of you who don't understand magic and the world of Amber, magic is motivation, acceptance, greatness, inspiration, and kindness. So magic is motivating you to being the best version of yourself possible by accepting you right where you're at, even if you're at the bottom of the ladder, okay? Accepting you right where you're at, recognizing the greatness that already exists within you. What is already there that you can tap into? What is your superpower? What are you really, really good at that you just don't want to recognize? So recognizing the greatness and sharing gratitude. What am I grateful for in my life? And inspiring you to soar higher than you've ever soared before through acts of kindness, just being kind. All right. So I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you for sharing magic with me. And I look forward to seeing you next time. All right. Have a great day.